Every hour on the hour, when we listen and gain our knowledge and power, we turn to the no bullshit hour.
No bullshit.
Let's just did breaking news. No more bullshit. No more bullshit.
No bullshit.
Drip, drip, drip. I hold in my hands the separation agreement release between the state of Michigan and the former head of Health and Human Services, Robert Gordon. It's the hush money scandal that's engulfing Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. What did the COVID czar know before he abruptly quit? How many elderly died in these nursing homes? I'm going to bring you that update and what's going on with our lawsuit. Joining us is Republican Senator Jim Runstad, the chairman of the Senate Finance Committee. Very important. Where did we get the money to pay these incompetent bureaucrats? Where did we get that money? Also, joining us for the first time is Junior, the junior aide to a junior legislator. Junior went to Lansing to better the world and find out Lansing's a toilet. And, of course, the continuing education of Detroit comedian Red as we remake him into a crackerjack reporter.
I just did my first press conference about the Detroit firefighters drunk driving and tearing up city vehicles. And let me tell you something. That bullshit was more like a school assembly than it was a press conference.
He's great. Can't wait.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
But first, leave that beat on there, right? Leave that on there. It's nice. Just get me in a nice, mellow mood. It's been a really difficult week. We want to remind you to patronize our friends at American Coney Island, Esquire's top 100 restaurants that cannot be lost in America, lest we lose ourselves. You all know how to get the Coney kit. AmericanConeyIsland.com. They love them in Texas. They love them in Oakland, California. They love them in Flint. Hello, Escanaba. AmericanConeyIsland.com. And if you are downtown today, Fridays only, all during Lent. That delicious. Delicious?
Yeah, I told you yesterday. I've been having dreams about that fish sandwich.
That delicious.
It's fat people's dreams, man.
Alaskan pollock, which is a nice, hearty fish. Very clean. With lettuce, tomato, cheese. Oh, it's delicious. American Coney Island, at the corner of Michigan and Lafayette. Please come on down and visit. Keep one of America's premier restaurants alive. Mm-hmm. And also, as always, it's pretty simple. ADR consultants are the ones you call when you need to get something done right, on time and on budget. We might not have had these problems in Lansing
if they called
with
ADR.
Unemployment, with the nursing homes, with the contracts. Had you called ADR? If you're an investor and can't get straight answers about whether your assets are properly registered or repaired, call ADR to help with your asset management. Do you have work issues, zoning issues, certification issues? Have ADR work that out. Are you trying to get something remodeled and need permits? There you go. Huh?
Yeah.
Everybody's coming out of it. Everybody save money. People trying to get things built, and you're having problems with the city? Save time, save money. Call ADR. Construction, deconstruction, demolition, rehab, project management, owner rep services, technology deployment.
Hey.
Get it done the way it should be done without excuses. Ethical, honest, smart, and always discreet. Call Barry Ellentuck for free consultation, 248-318-9424. Mention the No Bullshit News Hour and tell them you need someone to
fix
your shit. All right, let's get into this. Gretchen Whitmer comes out this week. An excellent work by Bloodhound Kurt Mauger of the Detroit News. He's the paper guy. Mm-hmm. Turns out she signed separation agreements with two of her top former aides, Health Director Robert Gordon, and yes, the unemployment chief, Steve Gray, which included not only large payouts, $155,000, wait, to be specific, for Mr. Gordon, according to the contract, $155,506.05.
That's quite specific.
Yes. Look at these bureaucrats, nickel grubbing bureaucrats that you couldn't even leave to 5 cents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
God damn. And about $86,000 for Gray, the unemployment czar. You think he got his unemployment check?
That's a great
yet?
question.
I bet he got his unemployment check.
Do you think he had to call 30 times a day or keep logging on and doing everything that everybody else has to do?
I'm going to tell you what, Junior is up there fielding calls from constituents who can't get their unemployment. Yeah. We're at wit's end. I read everything you send me. Everybody's asking for help. I'm trying.
I don't know why you have to pay that person off because they didn't seem to really be doing their job, but what do I know?
Yeah, and they resigned. They didn't, they resigned.
Exactly.
They weren't fired, so why are you paying them? But we'll get to that. These agreements also included confidentiality clauses requiring them to keep their mouths shut about their incompetent time as public servants. And I'm allowed to say that because the evidence shows it clearly. Incompetent. Mm-hmm. Whitmer says these sort of contracts are routine in the public sector. I think that's horse shit. They've never been in my time anywhere in government. Even Snyder didn't require them after the Flint water poisoning. Oh.
It's just a slow drip, man.
Flint water poisoning.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's not a...
No, leave that.
You think it's a good look?
It's an accent. She refuses to answer questions, citing the agreements themselves. But she's the one that asked for them. I can't talk because I don't want them to talk. And don't count on a real investigation from AG Dana Nessel. You know why? It was her office who drafted the agreements. That's clever.
Inconvenient.
So something's up. And here is the bullseye. Here's the point. What are they trying to hush up? That's why we're suing for nursing home data, right?
Yeah.
What's the true death toll?
You wouldn't think it'd be that hard to figure that out.
Yeah, we should have it. That's why our next guest is riding shotgun in the Senate. What did they know? When did they know it? And why do they continue to do it? Hey, thanks for your time. I know you're busy. Senator Jim Runstead of White Lake. He joins us. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, Charlie. Thanks for having me.
Okay, would you right off the rip, what I just said there, what do you think?
Well, everything you said is accurate. What she's trying to hide, in my view, is the crash and burn, terrible performance by her Department of Health and Human Services. They have been in the epicenter of all the decisions from the beginning, and they have made one terrible decision after another. When they did their first rollout, they said things like, well, you can't have a person mow your lawn because that person is going to go out and fill the tank with gas. So we'll have 10 customers go out and fill 10 lawnmowers and mow 10 lawns, and that's safe. That you can go buy lottery tickets and booze and marijuana, but you can't in the spring and summer go work on your lawn and buy wood chips and paint. These ridiculous things that have come out all along. And worst of all is what you just referenced, and that is her nursing home policy. We are one of 5 states that said you could take the COVID-infected patient and put them in with the non-COVID-infected population. And that's a good policy, she felt, and her Director Gordon felt. And it's turned out to be a complete catastrophe for the state of Michigan and for these families that have had loved ones in a nursing home.
Well, we don't know. That's the thing. We don't know, do we? Because we can't get a clear look at numbers. It's sort of the take my word for it. Am I right?
She said, yeah, you're absolutely correct. The governor has said we've had the best numbers. We have great numbers. Our numbers are accurate. Our numbers are good. And with Steve Johnson, who chairs the Oversight Committee, and the House said, okay, well, good. Come in and show them to us. Well, we're not going to do that. In fact, the director Hertel, the newly appointed director Hertel, who has been at DHS for some time, refuses to come in and testify as to what these numbers are. We're left to grapple with no information.
What'd you just say? The Hertel, is she the acting director? Has she been confirmed? In either way, she refuses to come in and answer questions?
She is the acting director. I believe she's been since January, and she was intimately involved with many of these decisions. She was high up in the HHS. She has not been confirmed. I think that she should not be confirmed because she has not been shooting straight for a long time. And this is the advising consent of the Senate has to make this decision. So we should find out this week if she will be confirmed.
Oh, interesting. Let's do something real quick. We copied Andrew Cuomo in New York, and he's on fire. Okay, so let's remember something here. In May, they stopped doing it. The big difference between Whitmer and Cuomo is Cuomo was taking an ass beating in May by the media, by the legislators, by the public, and he stopped commingling. The huge difference is we're still doing it today. So let me tell you how this agreement comes about. 10 days after Cuomo's chief aide, DeRosa, right, spills the beans to a bunch of Democrats on the phone 10 days later about hiding the bodies, Whitmer settles with Robert Gordon. Now, are these kind of settlements, Jim, common in the public sector? Hush money or, non-disclosure and a big, gigantic check. Have you seen that?
No, I have not seen or heard of it done in the public sector. So wherever it may be done is done very rarely. And probably, in my view, probably inappropriately. It's done commonly in the private sector, but not the public sector. As you said, all the years Snyder was in office and even with the Flint water crisis, I never heard of anyone doing a confidentiality agreement. I do remember that his Treasury director had, I think it's 2 months of severance pay. And the then Senator Whitmer got up and said, "This is horrible. This is a catastrophe. How are they doing this golden parachute for this guy?" And now look what she's doing. She said she was going to be the most transparent administration. She's going to make sure that she cooperates with all transparency. She's closed down Freedom of Information Act. She's got these, non-disclosure, hide the information, don't let the public see what we're doing. This is not a transparent administration.
Hey, Karen, you have spent a lot of time in government yourself. Basically, the de facto chief of staff for Dave Bing as we're trying to manage this crash landing of a city. Did you guys give out these golden parachutes?
No, and I wanted to ask the senator, I mean, unless there was a contract in place, I've never heard of a public employee even receiving severance pay. The other clarification is that if you're an appointee, you sign a resignation letter as part of your onboarding. So you are quietly fired, but it is presented as a resignation because your resignation is on file. You do serve at the will of the elected official. But I've never heard of a non-contractual public official or public appointee getting severance pay.
No, you're an at-will employee, and you're absolutely correct. Whether you're fired or you quit, you're gone. You're on your own. Except in this case, not only the severance pay, but the non-disclosure. I think that the severance pay was to sign the non-disclosure, and this non-disclosure is to make sure that all this garbage is being kept bottled up. And we, the public, need answers. And
goddamn
we're
right.
Keep fighting and fighting.
It sounds like bribery to me.
It does.
Senator, you listed off a bunch of things that were issues with her orders, but what specifically have you heard or do you feel was the specific rift between Gordon, his deputy director, Etsy, and the governor?
Oh, I think that he was probably told to do a lot of the things that he ended up having the department do from on high, and that he's now probably thinking this is not the direction I wanted to go in, but I'm the fall guy. I'm taking the heat, and he wanted to probably get out of there and spill the beans, and she wanted to prevent that. So I think it's a whole series of decisions that were catastrophically made during this whole process that he would have data dumped it out on the public, and that had to be stopped. I think that was the purpose behind all this.
Let's remember something. Governor Whitmer never by her own pen required a death count. She never by her own pen required nursing home staff to be tested. This was, in fact, Mr. Gordon. We never counted the old folks in adult foster care where the majority of the old people live. We don't, to this day, we're not counting them. We have no real idea of what's going on. Nonpartisan folks, we're trying to get the answer so we can fix end of life care. That's it. Remember, on the right, they hated me a month ago. No fraud at Cobo. Now the left's attacking me. I'm riding with Whitmer. I'm like, I am riding with you, right? It's been a rough week. But I'll say this. The Republicans, Jim, man, where's the balls, bro? I'm seeing this. We're calling for the Attorney General to fully investigate it. It's the Attorney General. What you doing walking through the show? What's going on here? Drew's contractor walking through the middle of the show.
Some work.
Down here in the mezzanine. Nessel drafted these contracts. That means she can't say anything. It's a conflict of interest. So, Jim, the Republicans are saying, oh, we're asking for a full accounting. We want these documents handed over. We want some people to testify. We did that in the summer. Is this theater? Where's the balls? Go nuclear and subpoena the administration. Where is it, Jim?
We just had that discussion this last week, and I believe there's going to be subpoenas that are going to be starting to issue from committees probably this coming week.
Time out. That's news. That's breaking news. Give me the date. We're close.
I'm getting it.
This show's almost getting good. Breaking news. All right, we'll do this in post. We'll take all this out.
No, we won't.
Breaking news. We do it again. Breaking news. You've heard it first here on the No Bullshit News Hour. Joining us, Republican Senator Jim Runstead, announcing there will be subpoenas against the governor and her administration. To you, Senator.
Yes, that is what we were discussing last week, and I think that is exactly what's going to happen this coming week and the week after.
That is nuclear, right? You don't do that in American politics, especially state politics, why? Because it really poisons the atmosphere?
You know, I've never understood the reticence when you really see there's wrongdoing to bring somebody in and subpoena them and require that they give answers. I don't know why that's such a grave concern. Certainly you don't want to be doing it on an ongoing basis over every little thing. But when there's something substantial like this is, and we're getting all this hiding and this lack of transparency and a non-disclosure agreement and all this stuff, we've got to get to the bottom of it. You're right. If Dana Nessel is the one who drafted these agreements and refused to do the investigation before, this is going to be dependent upon the legislature to step up to the plate and start really getting serious about this. And so I think that's really what's going to happen.
Let me make something crystal clear. I'm not alleging fraud. I got a suspicion something ain't right. I just want the documents, I want the data, and we'll arrive at the conclusion. And if the data shows me everything's on the up and up, you'll get that unfiltered and no bullshit. That's what I'm saying. So we're looking, hopefully this week coming up, to file our suit, and that other media outlets will join us. You're welcome too. I have finally one more question, Jim. I know you got to go, and thanks for the time. Here's the three main players in the health crisis, the pandemic. You had Robert Gordon, Director of Health and Human Services, who has no experience in the healthcare field. He was a number-crunching bureaucrat for Obama in the Office of Management and Budget. You have Dr. Joni Calhoun, who was Mike Duggan's health director, who helped him cover up the incompetent program that his gal pal put together for prenatal,
save the date or make the date.
Make the date to stop prenatal preemies and death at birth. Okay, she also famously said in I think 2018 that when you shut off people's water, it does not create a public health crisis. And then finally, the chief medical director is Dr. David Neff, or the director of state Medicaid program. That's the one who determines what we're doing with the money, all the federal money for the poor, like nursing homes.
It's a lot of cooks.
Okay, so what was he doing during this? He was on paid suspension, making about $200,000 a year because he was under investigation for writing bogus opioid prescriptions.
Oh, man.
Okay, now he's accepted his punishment that he did without admitting that he did it.
Yeah.
So he was off doing something, writing script. You got Dr. Caldoun, and now we know about Gordon. Who was running the fucking ship, Jim?
Great question.
You're telling me some stuff I had no idea. There's some of this background intelligence. This is great stuff that we'll be asking some more questions about when I get back to the Senate. But you're absolutely correct. If the legislature isn't going to step up to the plate, isn't going to start issuing subpoenas, isn't going to start doing this on our own, no one's going to get to the bottom of this. I don't believe the press is going to get to the bottom of it. The attorney general's not going to get to the bottom of it. It's going to require the legislature really drilling down. And like you said, we're not saying something happened. We're saying we don't know. And that's the big problem. We aren't getting information. We need to get the information to give to the public so that they can have confidence in their state government.
I'll leave that. That's the last word. Thank you for your time. I know you're very busy today. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Charlie.
Now, Karen, before we came on, you were saying that Whitmer ran on a platform of open government.
Yeah, she ran on a platform of transparency, like the senator said, and like you brought up in terms of challenging some of the things and some of the information that was not being openly and freely disclosed by former Governor Snyder. I just, as a public official, I don't think that anybody should have to FOIA, threaten, or beg for information relative to the decisions that they're making on behalf of the people who put them in office. We certainly understand that people aren't perfect. We know that this was an unprecedented pandemic. People were trying to figure it out as they went along. But I think it's disingenuous to not disclose the accuracies of the impact of those decisions that have been made. I mean, that's just to protect your image or ultimately your seat. I think that's unfair.
And again, so well put, like it saves us through this program because that's rational and fair. I couldn't agree more. 100% sure that I think I voted for Whitmer. I'm pretty sure I did. And I voted for Snyder. And look, I'm holding their feet to the fire. Somebody's got to do it because it's, what?
I always said I liked Gretchen when she was in the state. I had no issues. Everybody thought and hoped that she would kind of boss up and be that strong female leader that people had hoped they'd find, but didn't in Jennifer Granholm. But if you listen, Charlie, nothing ever changes. We're still talking about transparency. We're still talking about, protecting people's homes, giving them clean water, not the same thing we've been talking about for decades. Nothing ever changes.
So, like, you went into government and you went there to change the world. And then you got there.
Yeah.
And what happened?
I thought you think you can make a difference, Charlie. I have to just a quick backstory. Once upon a time, when after I graduated from college, I wanted to leave Detroit. I thought I wanted to go somewhere else. And after I found out that I was going to stay here, I made a commitment to try to make this the best city that I could. But I, like so many other people, when you get into city government or even organizations, institutions, you find that the process is so heavily laden that the game never changes. So you either buckle under, participate, you keep hitting your head against a brick wall, or you leave.
Do you remember that young you? That young bushy-tailed you wanting to make the difference getting into the government? Do you remember?
Yes.
Do you remember, like, what you first wore the first day to the office? I know you do.
Actually, Yeah.
Tell us what it was.
Charlie, I do. I mean, but after having been an entrepreneur for so long, I said, when I worked with Kilpatrick, I made sure I did not show up early. I said, because, I hate the 9 to 5 mentality. But after I got in, and even with Dave Bing, he and I would almost like race to see who was going to be at the office first. We would get there at 7 o'clock in the morning. We worked 12, 14 hours a day, every day. So, there are people that want to make a difference, but you've got, I remember Charles Pugh said once, he said, the public expects counsel. I know, whatever. But I'm saying he said people expect them, to fight. I said, but not to fight if it doesn't make sense. So people were pushing back on issues that could have made a difference for people just for the sake of, pushing back.
What did you wear your first day?
I wore black. Let me say that.
What'd you wear? What were the shoes? Buckles?
Boots.
Zip
Boots.
boots. Thigh, knee high, shin high, ankle boots.
Boots.
Heel
black.
Boots, heels.
All yeah. Remember that at one time they called me the leader of the high heel mafia. I was the bad guy.
I'd wear that with a badge of pride.
Well, this is important because, look, I mean, I don't care if it's Cuomo or Snyder or Whitmer. I mean, again, was there something sexist in being called the leader of the high heel mafia? Do you feel that there was a double standard?
No, I wasn't offended when people said that I was a bitch, only because, Charlie, this city was struggling as it continues to struggle today. I had a commitment to make sure that people who spent their taxpayer dollars to pay my salary and everybody else's salary, that they were getting 200%. And I expected that from the people that were on my team and that were around me. I'm not a corner cutter. I have been an entrepreneur the majority of my career. So I have a different approach to getting things done. I'm not a check collector, and I expected that. And there were a lot of people that just didn't feel the same way.
Now, let me just do that before I introduce our next guest. Here's the thing. First of all, y'all listening, can you tell your parents where to find us? You know what I mean? Because once the older crowd catches on, they like what we're doing, and this is for them. So show them how to get on. Number two, I forgot number two, so let me just go to Hall Financial.
That's a good number two.
Listen, you feeling good about your interest rate? Right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's
I don't know
pretty solid.
I smell something coming. I'm starting to smell things maybe going to drift up.
A little bit, yeah.
Right? You feeling
Well,
it?
we've already seen it a little bit, but yeah.
So get it done. Listen, call Hall Financial because rates are low. They're still hovering around the 3. Mm-hmm. All right? Be smart. Make the call because you could be saving money. Don't put it off to tomorrow. I'm telling you. Hall Financial is fast, and they do it all the heavy lifting for you. Right? So go to davidhallmortgage.com and get started. That's davidhallmortgage.com. Or call 248-308-5000. And remember, NMLS number 1467435. I have no idea what that is.
I know that noise, yeah.
Okay. And finally, hit it. God.
I'm a little slow in the draw today.
If you're not among the high heel mafia, you ain't getting no breaks on no contracts. You can't call the mayor and set up a little dummy corporation and maybe get a little something on the side. Maybe you're not like that, right? Maybe you actually got to work.
Be legit.
You're one of them lunch pail people. Or you're one of those, let's cybersecurity guys who works all day in his pajamas and doesn't really do anything.
In his lower level.
Yeah, and he turns on the computer so the boss is thinking he's working. He just leaving a footprint. Maybe the boss is starting to downsize. Anyway, listen, you got to save your money. You must plan for your retirement. If you have any questions, call finance specialist Luke Nowacki, 248-663-4748.
Yeah. Matter of fact, tell me King to stop by. Specialize. After all, I am talking about Royal Alliance Incorporated.
From annuities to individual retirement accounts to college savings plans. Call Luke
Charlie,
Nowacki, 248.
you got the boomers, bloomers in a bind. Everybody's offended that you're asking for their parents. They said you're already appealed to the over 50 crowd. You got a couple 60-year-old plus people that have said they have followed you for a long time. So don't offend the boomers, Charlie. They love you.
Take it easy, boomer.
Yeah, jeez.
I meant your parents.
Well, boomers are canceling people now?
I meant the greatest generation. Yes. You know the ones like my mom. She didn't know how to text.
They're listening to. They're on here, Charlie. So hey, don't underestimate them. They are here in full force, and they're not happy that you're looking for them.
Well, somebody call my mom. Somebody call my mom. Take her out to lunch and tell her to get with it. She won't listen to me. She won't listen to me. She'll only be seeing me on TV, and then she's proud of me.
Isn't that always the way?
Yeah, it's always the way.
For 2 minutes as opposed to an hour.
Always the way. Listen. When they talk about an audience, the important people are somehow like 22 to 55. Mm-hmm. I say, why? We're all living a long time. My friend Matt Phillips' mom, right? She's a woman of a certain age, real hip, real sophisticated. She's starting to tune in, and I like it because she's open-minded, she's liberal, but she deals with the elderly. Mm-hmm. And it's giving her information. That's all I'm saying. But I'll take anybody, any human being that wants to have a discussion. I am the most liberal guy you ever met. And I'm conservative in the sense that I don't like society rapidly changing in the sense that the factories are gone and we're all with our pants around our ankles. I like society when it moves fast, when you got equal rights for everybody. Yep. When you leave gay people alone.
Yeah, that did move fast.
Right? You let the DACA people have their citizenship. You let immigrant children who are adults who grew up here are part of our fabric. I just believe that.
You actually think about the issues and then make a decision.
Jeez. And there's no fraud truck in Cobo Hall.
Not that again.
Or that Melissa chick, right?
Oh, not her again.
Somebody sent me a post. She said
That's a stripper girl, right?
Yes. Oh. Yeah, stripper girl. Or whatever she is. Who's running for something in Grosse Pointe. So good luck with that, Grosse Pointe. But I'm a biggest liar, right? Until I'm suing the government for the data in the nursing homes.
And now you're great.
Now the post is, finally, Charlie LeDuff tells the truth.
Do you even know the answer to that?
No, I don't. I don't. I'm just trying to, get some answer. Jesus, I'm sick of this. And you know who else is sick of this? Junior.
Oh, poor Junior.
Junior, he's a Gen Z dude. Just called me up. Just got a hold of me, right? Mm-hmm. He is a junior legislative aide to a junior legislator, and he's there taking constituent calls and stuff. And he went He went to Lansing to make a better society, make his way in the world. Junior goes to the Capitol, and then Junior finds out, "Hey, Junior, are you there?"
Yes, sir. How's it going?
Very good, Junior.
You're looking good.
Yeah, you are. Look at those cherubic little cheeks of yours.
So cute.
So Junior.
And he legitimately, he is real.
Oh, he's real.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
I'm a real person.
Yes. Junior's going to be our spy up there. Junior's going to be the every person who's going to hang around the senator's toilet with their 2-ply toilet paper in the middle of this recession. He's going to hang around the commissary. He's going to do it all for us. He's going to file reports. But Junior, how is your time at Lansing? Are you dissatisfied, disillusioned?
Disillusioned would probably be the correct word, yeah.
What's happening? You called me, you were taking calls about unemployment, yeah?
Unemployment, yeah. And the reason I reached out in that specific case was I had a gentleman who I've been working with, older gentleman, taking care of his children, his grandchildren. He's a vet. And unemployment has been putting him through the ringer basically for the last, 6 months, telling him his money was coming, his money was coming, his money was coming. And then he gets a ruling, letter in the mail, saying, actually, you're ineligible. You're not going to be getting any of this money. And actually, all the money that you got, you have to pay back.
Oh, wow. Bullshit.
And, I hate to say this, but this is kind of what triggered it for me. And, you hear this on the phones. Is he told me that he wanted to take his life. That's what he felt like doing. And you can only hear that so many times before it's like, geez, what's going on.
And Junior, do you take your findings and your phone logs and your messages to not only your boss, let's not single out your boss, but anybody who will listen? And is there as far as you see, just you, a real push to get this straightened out?
Not that I see, no. Because every office, they have one or two people who are doing the same thing as me. And as far as I know, all the other people that I've talked to, you hear stuff on the phones and, you bring it to the boss. And I'm sure that I know I have, and I know that other individuals in my position have, and it's like, falls on deaf ears. I mean, obviously, these are not bad people. I think that oftentimes they don't think perhaps that they have as much power, as much influence as they actually do. They could pick up the phone, they could make a phone call on this person's behalf. It would go a lot longer of a way than if, just me calling or me sending an email.
Do they think it's the house of cards up there, like it's, an HBO or what was that?
Yeah, Netflix, House of Cards.
Yeah. Do they think they're like a big deal, like they're in Washington, like we're the power, we do lunch?
The egos, yeah. And they get, I think a lot of it has to do with, like you were saying earlier, these special interests and these lobbyists, they make them feel that way. They make them feel big and important. They take them out to steak dinners. They give them tickets to the basketball game, good seats, box seats, and it makes them feel high and mighty. And I think that oftentimes that leads to a separation from what's going on back in the district.
Do you feel that they're more beholden to those people, the lobbyists, or being a politician, than actually helping out the guy that called you?
Let me jump in there. Yeah. Here's exactly right. Let me focus it. The legislators up there, in a week, how much time, this is exactly what Mark said, but how much time do they set aside to meet us, the people, and how much time do they spend with, the stakeholders?
Stakeholders, yeah. The people, maybe you're talking on a monthly basis. They're back in district, so, they're talking to people back there, I'm sure. Probably not talking to the people who they actually should be talking to. They're talking to other elected officials, people who are doing well through all this.
But when they're up there, when they're up in Lansing where we can't see.
When they're up in Lansing, it's all the meetings are stakeholders. Legitimately, every single one. There's nothing like, you're meeting with a constituent today for half an hour to talk about this issue. That's not a thing. You're talking with lobbyists, people from different associations. They're coming with bill ideas, which is something that I never thought happened before I got to Lansing. Lobbyists are bringing ideas to the legislator, to push forward. That's how they spend their time in Lansing.
Wow.
But back to that example. That's a guy that is concerned about he's a constituent. They can't pause to pick up the phone for one person for a legitimate issue.
Yeah, in my opinion, they should be doing more. That's what a true leader would do. Let me get involved in any way that I can. It's not like these people are asking for us to move heaven and earth for them. They're asking for us to, give them a shot. And, a lot of times, we can't even do that. Other staffers refuse to even do that. So.
They're busy patting us on the head, aren't they? I'm going to fix that. And then they turn around and go have fucking lunch. And meanwhile, Grandpa blows his brains out because I know so many people. Like I got some special power. All the people listening to this show want to know is I do know the guys at the top, and I know guys and gals at the top, and guys and gals like you, and I'm trying to get the word out. I don't have a wand, and I think you don't either, and you thought maybe you did.
Yeah, I do as much as I can, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean much from me, or it doesn't mean as much as coming from me as it does from the elected officials themselves. When an elected official calls, somebody picks up the phone, and on time, and they say, what do you need? You know, and that's the power that you have as an elected official. Like, you can do those sorts of things, but you're busy, you know, eating lunch or taking a dinner with, you know, a stakeholder.
Now listen, Charlie, I want to weigh in on something that Junior said that I don't want to be, I don't want it to be lost, because it happens at every level. Everybody is gassing these people up. They're gassing up the people around them. They're gassing up the elected officials, and they have a false sense of, I guess, superiority. And it completely takes them out of touch with the people who elected them and the people that they're supposed to serve. Now, Junior also said something else too, is that when people call, people can pick up the phone and get things done. If you get to the right person, you can get something done. But everybody should have that same access and opportunity. If the problem can be resolved, if you get through to the governor's office or get through to the mayor's office, it should be resolved, period. You should not have to go through all that to get what you deserve as a resident of this city or this state.
And by the way, Junior, you hear that? So she clarified it, because you really, your voice. Do you have a mustache? Do you grow whiskers yet?
No, not yet. Nothing like that.
He doesn't.
Barely out of the cradle. No.
He's so young. And so when you get up there, you're disappointed. Forget the legislators, the senators and the representatives, but the chiefs of staff, they're all like old. They're all like 29. They're all like grandmas, right? I mean, how's the love life up there? I mean, any Gen Zers around, or they're all like the millennials? What do you make of the millennials?
I mean, you know, they're fine. I mean, everyone's mostly around my age. People in my positions are, you know, younger, but yeah. I mean, all the staffers, that's the thing. If you want to hear what's actually going on, you should sit in on some of the conversations with the staffers, because what I'm saying right now is just conversations that I have with some of those people. Now, some of them are much different, but you know, this is kind of what we talk about, like, you know, what's going on. And I came in, and obviously when you come in with fresh eyes, I mean, you know, I've not been around for too long, but it's just all this stuff sort of hit me quickly. And like Karen was saying with, you know, the special interest, is it's not really even necessarily about money. It's about the fact that these lobbyists and these stakeholders come in and they make the members feel like they are their friends. Like, you know, they, like I said, they take them out to dinner. They, hey, how you doing? You know, these meetings they start just, hey, how you doing? How's the family? How's the kids? And so they make them feel like they're your friends, so that when they need you to kill a bill, when they need you to push a bill, when they need you to vote a certain way, you're doing a favor for a friend. So at that point, it's not even about money. It's kind of just, I mean, I would consider some of them to just be gullible. Like, how are you not sitting there knowing that these people want something from you? How are you actually believing that they're your friends? And that's the issue that I have. It's like they come in and it's all buddy. Hey,
it's like that movie. What's that movie with Mathau and Lemon? They're selling aluminum siding.
Oh, Grumpy Old Men? No. Is that one?
I don't know, but remember,
they've been a bunch of them.
Yeah, he's an aluminum siding salesman. He goes, "How you doing?" Hey, and he brings about, you know, a fruit cake and shit. Like, I'm your pal.
Of course. No, they all know what the end game is.
Gassing up. That's the gassing up, though.
Yep.
That's what it is. That's
and this is how we got. This is how we got a blanket waiver for nursing homes. Like, we'll take them in as long as you don't sue us and you pay us a lot, and we're all happy. But we're not happy. And Junior's seeing it. Listen, Junior, we're going to move along, but here's the thing, brother. Learn, keep your head. You're just seeing what life really is, and do not get lost. Remember what your parents taught you, right? Get the wisdom, but you don't have to cave to it. You know?
Stay true to who you are, Junior. Stay true to who you are, and stay true to the reason why you went there in the first place. You may not be able to make the big difference all at once, but as long as you stand firm in who you are and what you're sincerely committed to, you will make a difference.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Now, here's what I want from you before we go, okay?
Yeah.
No, we're going to have it. This is going to be a drop moment where we're going to record this. I need you to give me a nice, hearty, fix the shit.
Okay. Fix the shit.
Okay, now how about this one? Just fix the shit.
Just fix the shit.
There you go. Thanks, man.
I love that.
Yeah, have a splendid day, Junior.
Go have a bottle and a nap.
Call me anytime.
Take care, Junior.
You guys take care. Thank you.
You too.
Try a bubble bath, kid.
I hope he doesn't quit, though, man. Isn't that the fear? You get disillusioned, you just fucking quit.
And in case you're out there going like, who's this dude? It's just a young person of ours who listens.
Mm-hmm.
And he just called up and we talked for a few hours. Try to talk the guy down. You know, continue. Don't leave it to the creeps. Continue.
Yep. Don't let him win.
You know, as long as he keeps his center about him, I believe in this system. This is the greatest system in the world. It's just been corrupted by people. Doesn't mean that the system's corrupt. Right?
But somebody pointed out that for him to have to even speak to you, Charlie, in disguise speaks volumes about, you know, just how everything is not the way it's presented and people don't have a right to speak up and out for the purpose of making things better. I mean, you know, he wants to do the right thing for the people, you know, that are in this state, and he'd be penalized, crucified, fired without a severance check, you know, for speaking up.
Yeah. And, you know, it's a nice segue. Thank you for that, because we've done that many times on this program. The Super Cop. Remember Super Cop?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And Sergeant No Name, right?
Yeah. Sometimes
like they have to do it because, I don't care.
They don't want to do it.
I don't need to speak to the governor. I'm not going to get anything there but an empty answer. But, Governor, I do speak to the people around you.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, Representative, whose guy is Junior? Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how it works. How many people I talk to? Now, I want to say this. News from Capital City. Detroit Red is ongoing education. He's a pretty good reporter.
He's really good.
Right?
Give him his due. Yeah.
So listen, we sent him to a press conference. Dig this now. Here, this is my recollection. Another fire truck in Detroit is cracked up. That makes at least 5 by my count. Consider, the current chief of department, the highest ranking guy, was caught at a bar with a city-owned SUV back in 2017. 2 months later, he told investigators he backed the department SUV into his house. He was promoted anyway to the top position. You're not supposed to get the top position, you know what I mean, when you're taking the city vehicle to the bar.
Seems obvious.
The deputy chief of department left the keys, quote unquote, in his vehicle late last year, and it was recovered smashed up in a vacant lot. The fire marshal of the Detroit Fire Department in 2018 was so drunk, he did not realize he'd smashed up a city-owned vehicle that he was driving around, or that he was driving on rims with sparks flying, or that he was wearing mismatched shoes. He blew twice the legal limit. Battalion Chief 5 was arrested for DUI after he was found trapped in his truck dangling over the Lodge Freeway last week. And a week before that, the driver of Squad 6, a heavy rescue engine, smashed into a parked car. Not the kind of emergency help you need. He tested over the legal limit. So, what the fuck is going on? We sent Red to Public Safety Headquarters, where the mayor and the commissioner of the fire department gave us this.
What up, though? I just did my first press conference about the Detroit firefighters drunk driving and tearing up city vehicles. And let me tell you something. That bullshit was more like a school assembly than it was a press conference. First, they came out and basically said, we already knew, but now that you know, we gonna act like we care and do something about it.
Because we have had an issue arise publicly in the last week that is going to be addressed with the utmost urgency and seriousness.
Then they basically said, even though we already knew, we really just learning about this like you are.
But in the last week, I have learned more about alcoholism in firehouses across the country than I knew existed.
And just like anybody that know they to blame, the first thing they do is say, we don't want to blame nobody.
We're not here to focus on who's to blame. We're focusing on how we're going to solve it.
What the fuck? I thought that's what we was here for, to find out who's to blame for the problem. But of course, they know common sense thinking people is going to say that. So they had to find a good old reliable fall guy. And just like everything else been happening in the last year, higher crime rate, bogus demolition, and anything else that's done went wrong with city works, it was going wrong well before it showed up on the scene. Who did they blame? Good old COVID.
What made it worse, without a doubt, was the impact of COVID.
We are immediately going to resume practices that had been relaxed during COVID.
As the chaotic and frightening COVID-19 virus has spread invisibly throughout our city.
See, because I had never done a press conference before, I thought this shit would go like it do in the movies. They give us some information, and I would get to raise my hand at the question point and ask some questions. But that ain't what they did. What they did, because they didn't want nobody to ask them no serious questions, was they handpicked a couple people to ask some softball-ass questions. So Mayor Doodoo says I didn't get to ask no real questions that the average man with common sense would have asked after hearing all this bullshit. I'm going to pose 3 questions to you, and you can feel free to answer me at any time. Question number 1. You say the recent rise in drunk driving accidents and drinking amongst the fire department and other departments with tearing up city vehicles all started and went up because of COVID. When the reality is, we've been knew this was going on since 2017. So how did you just find out? Question number 2. How many more times do you think the citizens of Detroit is going to hear COVID as an excuse for everything? High crime rates, bogus demolition deals, city services not being properly intact. I mean, damn, how much more COVID blame can we accept for shit that was already fucked up well before COVID came around? And my third and final question, Mayor Doodoo, is you gonna resign? Because I think the people of Detroit is getting tired of shoveling your shit. It's your boy, comedian Detroit Red. You know how I do it. Deuces.
Well done.
Wow. He deserves an Emmy for that.
That's great.
That's not, I mean, what did he show us there? One, the vacuousness of the press conferences now and how the media's laid down and accepted this. This is like Whitmer's. Cuomo's doing it this way now, right? Mm-hmm. Zoom, zoom, zoom. And that wasn't even Zoom. There were people sitting there and they weren't taking any questions. Number 2, what did Red figure out? That's an actual New York Times op-ed think piece, which is the great COVID blame for incompetent government. Because I would tell you.
You hear it everywhere.
Latest crime stats, Karen. For the first 2 months of this year, murder's up 10% from a year where murder was up 20%. Dig this. Non-fatal shootings are up 60% after a year where they went up 53%. COVID? Karen, what happened to those demolition contracts we were talking about last week?
Well, if you remember last week, the contracts were presented to City Council in a package, which meant that they were being looked upon to being passed all together. Council voted in half and postponed half until the following week because there were some questions. The legitimacy of the business, being a Detroit-based business, the number of Detroiters that are being employed, the dirty dirt, Charlie, that you uncovered, and some of the other issues that surrounded
and the indictment last week of the big asbestos contract.
That too. And, this one company that just got a Detroit address less than a month before the contracts were presented. So these were all questions that were brought up. No answers brought back. But yet and still, the remaining 11 contracts, those outstanding contracts, were approved the other day.
So they made a big show of we have additional questions. Come back next week, and they already made up their mind.
That's the MO, Charlie. This is, and I'm not trying to put anybody under the bus, but it's
put them
strategic.
Under the bus.
You know who's going to be there. You know who's going to vote yes. You know who's going to vote no. So you have a big discussion when a public hearing. You got to, because there must have been I listened to that the first time for like 2.5 hours. There were like 60 public comments. So you entertain all that, but then you bring it back the next week or so as a line item, and it slips through with very little attention.
What happened to the big contract with the mayor's former communications director at the corrupt Detroit Medical Center, who now has a private media firm, and they're looking to toss $750,000 towards it? What happened to that contract?
That too has been postponed to next week, and I'm going to keep an eye on it. I had the opportunity to share my perspective with a couple of the council representatives, because I'm like, listen, you guys have the biggest and deepest communications department that exists. What's so difficult about placing an ad? You own a television station, and all the stations are participating. Like you said, Charlie, they're obligated to do public service announcements. What are you going to use $1.4 million for?
Whoa.
Only $200,000 that I saw in the documents were allocated for actual inventory.
Wait, go slow. What? Wait, go slow. What? You saw the document, how she's going to spend it. How much of the $750,000 is actually going to a media buy?
That I saw on the documents that I was able to see, $200,000. And here's the other thing.
So we got $500,000 floating around.
Only 3 iHeart stations and 1 television station were included in that buy, not including the only Detroit-owned, Detroit-based, and Black-owned radio station, if in fact you're trying to reach the people in Detroit. This is still the blackest city in America. Why would you not have that station included? So it's all a familiar, the same thing Junior was talking about. It's just the friendship. That's it.
See how the show just came together right there. I mean, the program, the program. Here's the part you should listen to. The fire department is not working with a contract. They're in mediation. The plan is to cut the department down to size. Remember, we got budget holes. We're blaming COVID. They want to whack that down. It's questionable if you're going to get your pensions. In 2.5 years, we got to start finding $200 million more dollars a year to pay for those. What happens if we can't? Your pension goes down. Pay attention. This is real shit. What happened to the roads? What happened to the nursing homes? Why hasn't anything been fixed? When you said it was comeback, look, the COVID slowdown. Look, what did we actually build? We have a half-built skyscraper, an undermanned police force, firemen losing their minds and get no mental health. The union sued a couple years ago to get mental health help. You haven't had it, and now you're saying they're breaking down because of COVID. It's a lack of leadership. I don't know what you have to point to. I'll debate you anytime. I know the state too. It goes from Detroit to Lansing to Washington. And we the people, no matter how you're thinking, we deserve better than this, and we're expecting better than this. And it's time we better stand up. I want to leave with a story of one of our most vulnerable. Let me put it this way. He's a black man. He's a veteran of the Korean War. He's basically a Tuskegee Airman. He's a Detroiter. He's elderly. He's a guy we're supposed to look out for. This is our wise man. Clarence was an 86-year-old ward of the state. That means the government, legally speaking, was his mother. Clarence suffered from acute dementia and lived in a nursing home for veterans. Then he caught COVID. His mother, the state of Michigan, had no real plan as to what to do with him. And so Clarence spent the last months of his life being dragged from nursing home to hospital, hospital to nursing home, and finally to the mortuary. To this day, his mother does not know he died. The state of Michigan has not bothered to keep track of how many of its thousands of adult wards have succumbed to the disease during the great pandemic, revealing yet another gaping hole in the social safety net. The state does not bother to track the COVID deaths in the majority of the adult foster care homes where the majority of her wards live. Clarence's odyssey begins in early March last year, just as the coronavirus is crackling across Michigan. Clarence, declared legally incapacitated by a judge, falls ill and is transferred from the veterans home where he stays to a Detroit area hospital. Clarence recovers to some degree, and a week later is declared well enough to be sent back to the nursing home. But Clarence's nursing home doesn't have the skill to keep Clarence well. And within days, Clarence is sent back to the hospital. This is the height of the pandemic, and hospital beds are filling up. Even though Clarence is hot and contagious with COVID-19, he is considered stable enough to be sent back to the nursing home. And so he's returned like a gaunt dog to a doorstep. It's mid-April now. The governor has just issued her controversial nursing home decree, allowing COVID-positive patients to be readmitted to the nursing homes and other long-term care facilities like the foster homes. It is important to say that Clarence's facility is also a home to elderly people who are not infected with the coronavirus. Clarence is really suffering by now, but the government is not there to hold his hand or soothe him or question the care he's receiving. It has become a laborious chore for the old man to breathe. Cardiorespiratory failure setting in, according to the records reviewed by me. He is enduring recurrent COVID infections. He's bedbound. He's demented. Poor Clarence doesn't know what's happening to him. The day after being declared stable by the hospital and returned to the nursing home, Clarence relapses and is once again loaded up and trucked back to the hospital. A week later, Clarence is again declared stable. He is returned to the nursing home where he spends the next 11 days. Then he relapses again, and again he is trucked back to the hospital. After 10 weeks of being dragged along like a bag of laundry, after 8 disorienting trips where he may have spread the virus to untold caregivers and bunkmates, the unimaginable suffering of Clarence has mercifully come to its end. He was buried in a pauper's grave. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of others like Clarence. No one can really say how many because Mother does not know and does not bother to know where her children are sleeping tonight.
My girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night? Come on, tell me, baby. In the pond, where the sun don't ever shine. I was shivering all night too. My girl, where will you go? I'm going where the cold wind blows. Where's that, baby? In the ponds, where the sun don't ever shine. I bet you all night too. My girl, don't you lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night? Come on and tell me something about it. In the ponds, where the sun don't ever shine. I bet shiver all night too. Shiver for me now. What happened down there? My husband was a hard-working man, killed a mile and a half from here. What happened to him? His head was bound in a driver wheel, and his body haven't never been found. My girl, don't you lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night? Come on and tell me something about it. In the ponds, where the sun don't ever shine. I bet you all night too.